Do you feel called to build a membership community? Maybe it's a prayer group or some type of program where there's mentorship. Whatever that is, most likely God has put it on your heart to build a community. And that is what we're talking about today. Welcome, sisters, to our Sister Start Your Ministry Hour, where we gather together week after week to talk about all things faith, ministry, and kingdom business. I'm your host and your coach, Reverend Jocelyn, and I'm so glad to be here with you live today in my new office. For those of you who have been following me for some time, this is an upgrade, and I'm very excited to be here live. Hopefully, the internet is strong enough for those of you who've been journeying with me, because that's the reason why I haven't been able to be fully live with you because of internet issues. But now you all let me know if I'm clear and you can hear me, and we are back live. And for those of you who are here with me, you already know the drill. If you're watching live, please put your name in the chat and where you're watching from. And even if you're watching the replay, I want to know that you are here. So just put hashtag replay and your name. Also, if you're a first timer, I especially want you to let me know that you're here. And I have a gift for you as well. I want to make sure I bless you with my ministry launch starter kit at sisterstartyourministry.com. There you'll learn how to not only launch your ministry, but to organize it, to market, to raise funds for your ministry. All the things that are important is here for free at sisterstartyourministry.com. So you be sure to write that down for me. Once again, I definitely want to know who's here. So go ahead and put your information in the chat for me. Valerie, welcome, Valerie. Good to see you, my sister. Thank you for being here. Let me know where you are zooming in from, or not zooming in from, but YouTubing in from. Where are you from? Let me know what city you're representing. Again, anyone else who's watching live, put your information in the comments for me. Sheila, welcome. First timer. Hey, Sheila. What city and state are you representing? Please let me know. Anyone else who's watching, be sure I'll be watching the comments live. All right, sisters. So we are talking here about starting your community. And starting your community is one in which is very important. Actually, it's biblical to have a community. When we look at scriptures, Hebrews 10:24-25 says, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together." It's important for us to have communities, to gather together, to meet together. And obviously, we understand the importance of that in the church, within the four walls for worship on Sundays or Saturdays and whenever you worship. But I honestly believe, this is my pure-hearted belief, that ministry goes beyond the walls of the church. And there are some people who love God, but they have left the church for whatever reason, but they're still looking for community. And this is where you can possibly meet them where they are. And so we're going to continue to build upon that today. I just want to give a shout out to BJ. Good to see you representing North Carolina. Sheila Young, good to see. Inglewood, California. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know where you are from, Sheila. So we understand that when it comes to community, it is biblical. The community provides encouragement, accountability, and spiritual growth. And honestly, in a time in which many people feel isolated, I want you to understand that even though we have technology, and technology is wonderful, we have social media, and that's a way for us to connect with people, yet and still, many people will tell you they feel extremely disconnected. They might be connected to people and have 1,000 friends or 2,000 friends or however many friends on Facebook and still can feel lonely. People want more than just superficial relationships and Facebook likes. People actually want connection. People want to know that they are not only loved, but known and loved. And connection is something that people are looking for as they're carrying and navigating life. Because let's understand, and I'm sure you can add this into the comments if you agree with this, many of us are dealing with burdens. Life is hard. There's a lot happening right now. And Galatians 6:2 says, we can carry each other's burdens. In this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. And so when we're in community, we can help each other to go through and navigate difficult times that we might be facing. And community is where people find support during those rough seasons. And so I'm hoping that throughout our time together today, you can really think about how you might consider having a community, starting a community. Maybe it's for the woman that you once were, or you see a need and you start something, and it can start off small. And I want to get those wheels turning for you. I want to recognize, I see, is it Miss Ellison, first timer from Ohio? Welcome, sister. And Mildred, representing Pittsburgh. All right. Welcome, sisters. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. All right. So I'm about to run through some things that I want you to consider when you're looking to build your community. All right. So, first question is, what's the purpose or mission of the community? When you're thinking about, okay, God, I want to start something. Many of you, most likely you're 90% watching, are sisters or women. So maybe you want to build a community for other women who might be going through a difficult time. Maybe it's a community of people who have lost a spouse. So you're building a community for widows. Maybe you're building a community for cancer survivors. Maybe you're building a community for those who are navigating diabetes or they want to get healthier. Think about what the community is about. What's the reason for the community? Is it related to your story? Something that you've gone through and you survived. And now you're at a season, because you've gone through it, you're perfectly equipped to be the guide for the women who are in that season where now they're navigating that difficult time. I think it's Ed Milet, or it might be Tony Robbins, one of the two, who talks about how you are the perfect person to help the person that you once were. Okay. So thinking about those things that you've navigated, and it might be beneficial for you to create a community for people who did not have the support or do not have the support right now. So what's the mission? Is it to help people who are cancer survivors to gain their health back or strength back? Or is it a community where you're just trying to have fun? Is it a community where you're helping women entrepreneurs? What's the mission behind the community? And if any of you actually have some ideas here for your community, can you go ahead for me and put it in a chat? Even if you're not 100% sure that you want to start a community, but there's some things that you're thinking about. There's like an area that you're passionate about. Go ahead for me and drop that in the comments. I want to get a feel of who's here and what you're thinking. Hey, Coach Tab. Oh, it's so good to see you, Coach Tab. All right. So what is the purpose? What's the mission? Next, I want you to think about your values. What do you stand for as it relates to your community? This is key. I often say this not only for a community, but when you're starting an organization, or you have any type of church, anything, you want to have core values that guide your decision so that you know what behaviors are encouraged, what behaviors are, we don't do that here. And it'll help you to protect the culture of the agency, because there's certain things that should be a deal breaker. It's just not how you do things. I'll give an example. So right now I have a community for women of God, Christian women, who want to start their faith-based business. I call it marketplace ministry. They're doing a business that reflects at their core their faith, but it's beyond the walls of the church. And so I have this community, and our core values are faith first, period. Like everything that we do is rooted in the word of God. It's our guiding principle. We believe in prayer. We believe in the power of the word. That's value number one. Value number two is sisterhood. We have a community in which we love on each other. A lot of the sisters who are here now are part of our community. So we love on each other. We pray with each other. We gather together for regular prayers. We work together in pods on projects. We share resources. We celebrate each other when we win. And even when we don't have things work out exactly how we want to, we still encourage each other. It's a true sisterhood. And that's value number 2. Value number 3 is impact. Every sister who's a part of our community is chasing impact for the glory of God, not for themselves, but to glorify the kingdom. And when we look at that, I know there is a particular woman who is my assignment, who I want to extend an invitation to our community because they share in those values. If they are not a Christian woman, if they are like someone who they start drama, they're not supportive, it's like, nah, we don't want you over here now, right? And if you're just doing this for your own glorification and just trying to make money versus trying to chase impact, you're not the person for our community. And so understanding our values is what drives us. I want you to think about, what are your values? Okay, so I see here, we got Kingdom Women Arising, disciples, women in Christ, centered truth through fellowship and community, empowering them to renew their minds, dismantle strongholds, and live transformed kingdom lives. I love this. That's awesome. Please continue to put in the comments if you have a community or an idea. Again, it doesn't have to be fully thought out, but even share with us, who do you feel called to serve? Because in the people who are your assignment, it might make sense for you to make a community. All right. So after you think about the values, this is kind of going into the next question in terms of who is the community for? And this is something you actually might want to be thinking about this first. Okay, again, this is one of those things where your community is not for everyone, and it's okay. You know, there are certain people who you're best equipped to support. So thinking about, all right, is it a certain age? Is it a certain faith? Is it a certain ethnicity? Is it women who are in corporate America? Is it, individuals in nonprofit? Is it, women who, are transitioning after divorce? They've gone through a certain experience. I'm hoping the wheels are turning here. Is it for individuals who have a certain goal that they're trying to accomplish and they're all on a certain trajectory? Who is your community for? And ladies, again, this is supposed to be interactive. So I'm checking the comments to see what you all are thinking. I know we're here, but let me know. What are you thinking? Who are you thinking your community is for? Because that's going to help drive your decisions and how you shape the next set of questions that I'm going to give you to be thinking about. Because once you know who your community is for, then you want to start thinking about, what are the core activities of your community? What are the things that you're going to engage in regularly? Okay, is it Bible study? Is it prayer? Is it something where you do some physical activity? Maybe you go on retreats. Maybe it's something where it's educational, networking on a regular basis. Maybe it's service projects, fellowship, coaching. Different activities will be established based on who you're serving and the mission and what problem you might be solving or solution you are going to be offering to those who you're in community with. But you want to be intentional about those activities. I think sometimes we're in a society where we just do a lot of stuff and people are so busy and we don't have downtime. I'm encouraging you not to just say, oh, let me just do this and that. No, really be thinking about, okay, who are the people who are my assignment? What are they searching for? What are they in need of right now? Okay, based on that, I'm going to design some programs and activities to meet this need, to support people. And thinking about, even for some of us, I see Coach Tab is here. What other coaches do I have here right now who are watching live? And understanding, if you're looking at building a coaching community, we look at Proverbs. Iron sharpens iron. So one person sharpens another. Through coaching communities, membership communities, group programs, you're able to sharpen each other and help each other to grow. So let's continue to be thinking about that. My next question for you is, how will you foster connection? How will you foster connection? I opened up talking about this, how nowadays many of us recognize that relationships can become somewhat shallow. And if we go off of social media, I mean, people are putting posts like they're living their best life when a lot of that stuff is fake news or just what they want you to see. And so when we look at people trying to connect on social, but not taking time to actually be in the presence of each other, to really like ask the question, how are you doing? And mean it, right? How many of us have ever just been in a scenario where we run into a person and they ask, hey, how you doing? And you actually think for 2.5 seconds that they want to know how you're doing. So you start telling them how you're doing. And then they walk off and you're like, you just asked me how I was doing. Like, but people, again, are in a season where when they ask the question, sometimes they don't care. They're focused on their own world. But what if you had a community of people who, when they ask you, how you doing, you're actually like, they're listening to me. They actually care. They actually check on me. They're people who I feel connected to. I feel like I belong here. That is true sisterhood. That is true community. People are like thirsty for community. And this is something where you can possibly offer this. I'm seeing some things in the comments here. All right, Coach Tab, to coach faith-filled women that want to heal from pain, find their purpose, and find a way to profit to start a legacy called Dainty Pathfinders. All right now. All right. Okay. And Coach Tab says she got 5 communities, a program where you can start on different levels. Okay. Coach Tab is out here doing it. I love it. Who else has a community or thinking about starting community so we can recognize you here? Now, looking at this, connection is what keeps people in community when they feel like they belong. And here's the thing, it's not just them, it actually helps it to expand, because when people have a good connection to a community, this is what happens. Healthy communities grow naturally when people experience belonging, purpose, and genuine connection. Because, like, let's think about this. How many of you have ever saw a great movie? Like a movie where you were just like, this was so good. I just love this movie. And you go and you be like texting your girlfriends like, girl, you need to see this movie. Like, this was really good. And you just spreading the word. And before you know it, this is something that is a movie that's making millions and millions of dollars from word of mouth because it spreads. Same thing's true when it comes to a community. When people feel connected, when people are having fun, when people feel like they can be authentic, their true selves, this is not something that just happens all the time. They're going to tell friends. They're going to bring other people. They're going to be like, you need to check this thing out. And so I want you to think about how and what you're going to do. You're going to foster connection. And it should not be, or at least try not to set it up where it's just based on you. The real catch is when people start feeling connection to the community, even beyond you as the founder. This is strategic, right? When you start creating opportunities for networking and sharing and collaboration, whether it's through online or meetups or prayer sessions. These are things where when you help people to connect with other like-minded people, it helps to create that connection that we're all longing for. I see Coach Millie is in the house. All right, Coach Millie, what type of coaching do you do? Let us know. And so we do got a couple coaches here. Now, looking at all of the things that I mentioned, let's continue to build upon this, because when we think about the community, one thing that I want you to consider is, how will the community be sustained financially? Sometimes because we're looking at what we're doing as ministry. Sometimes, though, even with it being ministry, we struggle with like the financial side of it, because after a while, it can begin to cost money for you to do what you're doing. And the heart of it is still there, but you're beginning to generate some expenses. And as you're growing and you're trying to take care of the needs of the community, you want to be able to pour back in. You want to be thinking about, all right, like, how am I going to cover this cost? So, how many of you, I want you to put in the comments, have ever heard of a community called 40 Plus Double Dutch Club? How many of you, go ahead and put in the comments if you've heard of this. Now, 40 Plus Double Dutch Club is exactly what it sounds like. It's for women over 40 who want to go out and play and have fun and kind of tap into that inner child and double dutch and do other games. And it's one of those things where they have rules where it's like, okay, no men, no children, no pets, period. Like, it's like, no, it's just women having fun. Okay. So we got some people who've heard of it. Okay, awesome, Sheila. Now look it up, Miss Ellison. Is something where it's definitely a cool organization. And I had the opportunity to interview the founder, Pam. And she talked about how when she started 40 Plus Double Dutch Club, she literally was just doing it for herself. She had come out of such a difficult, dark season of her life, was fighting off depression. And she just told her girlfriend, hey, I just want to go out and double dutch and maybe get some friends to just encourage herself. And so her friend was like, yes, we're going to do this double dutch, even if it's just me, you, and tying the double dutch around a tree. Okay. And so they came together, they found some friends, they started like double dutching together. And then, slowly people started like saying, man, this is fun. Let me get some other friends and let me get some other friends. And then it started to grow in the Chicagoland area. And one thing that happened that just kind of blew the top off, they got some national media coverage. I think it was Windy City Live. It was some major platform. And after that, it exploded. I mean, people from all over the United States said, hey, I want to start a chapter. I want to start a chapter. And they're like, oh my goodness, like everybody reaching out, like, how do we even start a chapter? This is why some of the things I was telling you about is important in terms of determining your values, knowing like what you do, like rules of engagement, if you will. It started catching on like wildfire. And then eventually it got to the point where it became international. People all over the world, you're finding chapters. And I'm seeing the chat. Desiree said, yes, she attended one in Phoenix for the first time a couple weeks ago. It was a good time. Yes, Sheila follows them on social media. Yes. Let me tell you, I hosted this podcast event last month in person. And after interviewing Pam, she taught me how to double dutch for the first time. Oh, I was so excited, y'all. That was like a childhood thing I was trying to do and couldn't get together. So they teach you, no matter how old you are, how to double dutch. So shout out to Pam for what she's doing. And so anyway, with it began to catch on like wildfire. And with everything being like the way it was, where it was blowing up, they realized, okay, we do have to have some structure to this. We do need to figure out exactly how, like, we're going to raise up leaders for this. And this is starting to cost money. Like we have to like financially sustain this now that we got chapters and members all over. Like, I mean, it is like thousands and thousands and thousands. I forget how many. It is ridiculous how big this is. Glory to God, right? And it's funny because Pam started this for herself, and then it continued to just grow. And if she sees God's hand on it, and sometimes that's how something will start. You're like not thinking that it's going to be a big thing. You might be doing this with a couple friends. You might just be obedient, starting this Bible study, starting this group, and here God touches it out of your obedience, and it just takes off. Now, Pam talked about in this process that she eventually said, okay, we're going to have to do membership dues. And it's a ministry to her, but nonetheless, she needed to do something so that she wasn't financially hurting from pouring back into the organization. And she was nervous at first, like, oh my gosh, people, they might not continue to be a part of the community if she charges. And she found that it was not the case. People were completely receptive to paying membership dues. And so think about that. Think about, okay, if you're going to start some type of community, whether it is a membership, whether it is some type of like meetup group, it is okay for you to have some type of membership fee, dues, and understand that it's something where if someone truly can't afford it and you want to sponsor them, you would have that right to do so. Understanding that like there are certain people who have the financial means who can sponsor those who can't afford it. And so thinking about that, understanding that that's a possibility for what God is leading you to do. Awesome, Sheila. Thank you for sharing. Sheila says the purpose of the community I feel called to serve are women who are hiding in broad daylight. Oh, say that, Sheila. What appears to be a smile is an unseen broken heart, depression, anxiety, loneliness. Wow. She needs to shed for women a safe space to say, I'm not okay as it relates to mental health. Oh, I love that, Sheila. Very powerful, right? And that's like helping women to remove that mask, to stop pretending and have that safe space so they can be okay. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so think about, ladies, what you might do to have the financial support. If you don't have like membership dues or subscription, maybe it's something where you can get sponsorship, or it might be something that is grant funded. But after a while, you want to make sure that you have resources so you can have the infrastructure, so you can even eventually, for some of you, and I would love to hear from you, some of you might want to do this type of work full time. So in order for you to be able to do that and cover your expenses, there's going to have to be some type of revenue engine, whether again, it's people donating, however, but be thinking about that so that you can cover those expenses. All right. And one of the things that you kind of heard me allude to as I was talking about 40 plus Double Dutch Club is who will help carry the vision as it grows. How can you develop leaders? Because at some point, you want to make sure that you are not the only one trying to do all the things, right? You don't want to feel like you got to be at every meeting. What if there's chapters? What if there's things that are going on? Maybe you actually want to take a vacation. Maybe there's something that happens where you need like a day off and you can't attend the meeting. Think about who can you cultivate to be kind of like the board of directors or like advocates or advisors or whatever you want to call it. But they're people who understand the essence of what you're about. They understand the mission. They want to support. They're invested, and you can trust them to take on a leadership role because they are in alignment with your values. Think about that as it relates to what you are hoping to build. Okay. All right. So developing these new leaders, financial models. I'm just going to recap a little bit for you all in terms of the things that we cover. We covered quite a bit during our time together. If you're looking to build a community, think about what's the purpose, what's the mission of the community. All right. Then look at what are your values and what do you stand on? What are the do's, the don'ts, the things that won't be tolerated? What are the people who you want to draw towards you? What are those who you want to repel? Because that's not what we do here. All right. Think about who is the community for? Sheila gave some good feedback. I know Coach Tab talked about that. For some of you, you might be thinking about who your community is for. Maybe it's the woman you once were. Maybe it's people who have certain shared experiences. Think about that. What are the core activities for your community? What are you going to engage in on a regular basis? How are you going to foster connection? How are you going to make, people feel like they belong and they want to connect even beyond you? So you don't have to like micromanage the connection, right? But it's something where it starts to take on a life of its own. Think about also how is this going to be financially sustained as it grows, as it expands. The resources will be needed for that. And think about who can you begin to work with to develop leaders so that you're not the one who's constantly having to do all the things. These are key questions that I want you to really consider. All right. So, if this was helpful for you, sisters, I want you to go ahead and make sure you put what stood out to you the most in the comments. Also, I'm going to ask you a favor. All right. I am literally 1 to 2 people away from hitting 1,000 followers on Instagram. My Instagram account had been neglected for some time, and so I'm trying to actually build up my Instagram following. So could you do me a favor? If you enjoyed this, follow me on Instagram at Rev Jocelyn. Help me to get over that little hump to 1,000 so that we can go live on Instagram. All right. So again, follow me at Rev Jocelyn. And for some of you, you're at a place where you're like really thinking about creating what I describe as a kingdom business. This is a business that's in alignment with your faith. Another way of putting that is a ministry-driven business or a marketplace business, a marketplace ministry. Now, with that said, I have a free on-demand training that I did a deep teaching on building your kingdom business, one that aligns with your faith, that helps you to make impact. And for some of you, you want to work this thing full time. This will show you the way. All right. Now, how to access that? You can actually check out this link. Ministry and business is long, but this is the link that I just dropped in the comments. All right. So you can check that out in the show notes. It's free. And it's really going to help you to get those wheels turning as you are mapping out your kingdom business. So if you got time tonight and it's your first timer, hit that link. Because I mean, that stuff is practical that I'm teaching. Or for some of you, I would love to, if you like are really serious about building your kingdom business, then you can actually schedule what is considered a breakthrough call with me. Again, a link to that is in the show notes. This is a call where we like assess where you are. We talk about strategies to help you to kind of build your kingdom business. It is a powerful hour that we spend together. And right now, for the time being, is with me. And I was able to build my ministry from a blog to national Christian trauma healing business. And for those of you who meet with me, we'll talk about how we can build out that vision too. Okay. So you can go to revjocelyn.com/breakthrough-session if you want to have a one-on-one with me. If not, then at least watch this training that I put in the comments. All right, sisters. So I hope you enjoyed our time together. I see some things, some feedback in the comments and certain things. Sheila, she says, what stands out to me is the activities. What problem am I solving? That's awesome, Sheila. I'm so glad that you're here, especially as a first timer. Hopefully it's not your last. And so for anyone who is watching for the first time, please be sure to subscribe. Millie, also, I didn't get a chance to give you a shout out. So you do Christian coaching and police coaching. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. Be sure to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Talk to you soon, Coach Tab. Thank you so much for being here. And God bless, sisters.